Saturday! Just like the old days, man. Okay, so, let's see, where was I? Yeah, that interesting event with the pile driver somehow finding her way back, even though she'd had a incident. Just plopping herself in the ambulance, and off she went. Interesting. And we had a great conversation with one of our favorite road supervisors, and we were talking about how union members sometimes make themselves look bad. I guess in this particular case, what we were talking about was when the company wanted the road supervisors to do fair inspection, they wouldn't do it. It says, that's not in our job description, we're not going to do it. We'll grieve it or whatever. And the point he was making, and I agree with him, was, union members can't keep pulling that shit, We can't be saying it's not what we're supposed to be doing. You got to be flexible, You can't just be trying to be non-cooperative just because of some little detail here. These days are going to be over here. Wasteful union rules and wasteful union practices. It's got to end, because that's destroying the union, really. Because if you have I remember looking at that BART stuff. They had all kinds of union practices there that were just plain old wasteful. I mean, just wasting money. I don't remember offhand what they were, but I read them and I went, geez, how the hell did that ever get into the contract? I'm sure we have our share of that stuff here. And I'm not making a comment about our contract negotiation. I'm making a comment about unions in general. They have to stop being so intractable. I mean, you've got to cooperate to make things easier for everybody here. This is supposed to be one company. We're supposed to be working together. It's not management versus labor. We're trying not to be that way. I mean, I don't know what's going on, of course, but we've got to be more cooperative with management in terms of ending wasteful union practices that don't make sense. That's got to end. That can't keep going on. If you're getting a decent paycheck, then you don't need to be piling on with a decent paycheck a bunch of wasted activity. Okay, you don't need to be sitting around or whatever, milking it. This is the kind of reputation that destroys unions in any way. So he was telling me about a situation where he was, at having lunch or something, and the supervisors, some of the other supervisors, there was some kind of call that came out for some kind of incident somewhere at Rose Court or whatever, and the old crony supervisors, they didn't get up and do nothing. They were going to, but he got up and he said, well, shit, we got to be responsive here. And so he went and took care of it. But the other one said, well, that's not in our job description. We don't have to do that. Well, that will be our undoing. And don't think for a second that our jobs will not be privatized at some point. It can happen. It's happened in a lot of different districts. So we have to be somewhat understanding that we have to be cooperative here. And I'm not making any comments about the contract. I have nothing to say about that. But I'm talking about union members and how they behave around the union protection. You have to stop just relying on that every time there's something that management wants you to do. You got to do it. You got to be cooperative here. We got to show flexibility. There's a lot of anti-union sentiment. We don't want to add into that. They've been great at keeping it secret in this city. We don't know what's going on, and that's to John Hunt and Fred Hanson's credit, because it's been completely out of the public, which is completely unique, and none of that was like that in other cities. So somehow they've got it down in terms of being able to keep that stuff quiet. And then there's the Fred thing today, where he actually told Joseph Rose that he didn't think it was appropriate to be putting cameras on his drivers. And I gotta congratulate Fred on that one. That was what a great comment. And he's right. Either you trust your people or you don't trust your people. Nobody said that we didn't have a several or more than a slim minority of morons who are driving buses. Okay, that do stupid things like talk on cell phones at this point. But that's not Joseph Rose's business, because you can placate Joseph Rose forever, and he's never going to be happy. He's never going to be happy with anything we do here. And the media will continue to try to destroy us and TriMet every chance they get. But here's what I want TriMet to do. I want TriMet to send Joseph Rose the hundreds, and I know there's hundreds of commendations that come into this agency every month about things that drivers do that are above and beyond what they need to do. And why don't you send that to Joseph? Here, Joseph, here's 300 or 400 commendations. Let's see you do an editorial on that. Not a little thing about some guy who was nice to a drunk getting on the bus. That's no big deal. We all do that, okay? That's every day. But there's lots of other stuff that happens here that doesn't get talked about. Very positive things that we need to have some play on. See, all this media does is concentrate on negative. TriMet this, TriMet that. And they're just so far off base about it, you know. When you get right down to it, it's a pretty good system, and most of the drivers are pretty damn good, okay? Nobody's denying that there are a few bozos that act like jerks and treat the public bad and do stupid things, okay? But those are not the majority of people here. That's like saying all the cops are going to shoot people dead. Well, that doesn't happen, does it? There's a few rogues. Every organization of this side is going to have a few rogues. That's just the way it works. So, you know, we need to stop being fearful of the press. The press, we have to attack them head on. Forget about cowering to them every time. See what's happened here? You know, the fact that little boy got left on the platform, baloney, is now being sued by some bloodthirsty lawyer, some ambulance chaser lawyer who's going to try to squeeze a settlement out of TriMet over a situation that had no implications, and a situation that was made famous by the media. It was all hype. Nothing happened there. It was hype. It was nothing but hype. Just like the Chris Alexander, where they actually had the nerve to put that on the first part of the news. Nothing happened. Chris Alexander never did anything that was a threat to the public. It was complete hype. Nonsense. Typical media yellow journalism. They're making stories where there are no stories. And then fanning the flames, you know, and you're dealing with the public that we have. You know, they'll buy anything because, you know, there's a certain segment of our population that hates everything. You know, anything that's public service, they'll hate it forever. And there's those people that, well, I don't want to talk about politics, but well, let me just put it to you this way. There's a certain segment of the American population that hates anything that's progressive at all. They hate any idea of progressiveness. They want everybody to be, I don't know what I'm not really sure what they want other than to destroy. That's all they're happy with, is destroying other people. So anyway, the point that I'm making is stop cowering to the media and fight back like you did today. Yeah, that's right, Joseph. Get a picture and then send it in, okay? Then we'll do something about it. Let's see some evidence. I hate to tell you this, Joseph, but people lie, okay? People lie. More than half of the complaints that come in here are fabrications, and I would say 90% of the complaints that come in are complete embellishments. They'll take something that happened and embellish it to a point that makes it sound really bad, and the fact of the matter is that it wasn't bad. It was some little thing that happened. But the people that are making the complaining, it's like they say, I've been standing here for an hour for the bus. Well, no, they've been standing there for 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes. But what they say is, I've been standing here for an hour and a half. That's an embellishment, and that's what people do when they file a complaint. Joseph Rose will never understand that because he's never happy. So screw Joseph Rose. Just stand up to him and tell him, Joseph, you can whine from now until doomsday, and it's too damn bad until you have some real evidence that this is causing harm in our system. Shut the fuck up!